Everyone is concerned, and rightfully so, about the U.S. election, especially when we look at this CNN story saying that Russia and the U.S. are moving past the Cold War to an unpredictable confrontation. Now, as you heard with the special report from Margaret Howell, talking about how Russia is ordering the children of government workers abroad to be sent back home. They went through the massive attacks of the Nazis during World War II, so that's within their living memory. Americans don't take this very seriously, but the Russians do. And when you look at CNN coming out and saying that Russia and the U.S. are moving past Cold War, we didn't have a Cold War until we had Obama and Hillary. Hillary and Obama revived the Cold War. They began acting aggressively against Russia. Victoria Nuland talked about how they'd spent billions of dollars, also working with George Soros, to create the situation in Ukraine and in the Crimea. Then we have the situation in Syria. And now they're saying this is an unpredictable confrontation that is building up here. This is going beyond the surrogates that we have there. And of course, who are our surrogates? Our surrogates are al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS. Those are our surrogates. And we've seen this time and again. Now, out of Washington, CNN reports it's not a new Cold War. It's not even a deep chill. It's an outright conflict, they said. U.S.-Russia relations have deteriorated sharply under the people that they love so much, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Okay, they have destroyed Libya. They're destroying Syria. They've set the Middle East on fire. They've given us a new Cold War, and they're going beyond the Cold War. This is a hot war. It is being fought with surrogates. It's also, as we're going to see here, being fought with U.S. troops and Russian troops now getting involved. And the surrogates are there as a beard, but that beard is being removed, folks. They say this is deteriorating sharply amid a barrage of accusations, disagreements, raising the stakes on issues ranging from the country's competing military operations in Syria, disputes over Eastern European independence, and escalating cyber breaches. All three of those things are inventions of the U.S. government. Okay, the military operations in Syria, invention of the U.S. government. The situation that they created in Eastern Europe with Ukraine and Crimea, an invention of the U.S. State Department and the Obama administration, Hillary's State Department. And then this whole thing about cyber breaches that they're now increasingly linking to political and economic sanctions and military strikes in retaliation for imagined cyber breaches. This is the perfect false flag. A situation where they can assert that something has happened that we can't even verify. Perhaps a serious cyber breach has occurred, they can tell us. And then they can tell us they have determined that it's the Russians, and so therefore a strike is justified. And Obama even doubled down yesterday, linking this to the false claims that it's Russia that is interfering in our election. Now, the director of the Kennan Institute at the Wilson Center on the U.S.-Russia confrontations is quoted by CNN as saying, this is a conflict, there should be no doubt. They go on to say that Moscow has steadfastly denied that it is meddling in the U.S. presidential election. In an interview this week with CNN's Christiane Amanpour, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said it was a baseless accusation. He said it's flattering, of course, to get this kind of attention for a regional power, as President Obama called us some time ago. We have not seen a single fact, a single proof. As a matter of fact, what we see now, as we see the Office of the Director of National Security and Department of Homeland Security coming out, they say, well, we know it's the Russians because it's their motivation. They have an MO to do this, we believe. Well, why would the Russians dislike? Why would the Russians dislike America so much? Well, it's because of what I just said. We have manufactured chaos. We have manufactured conflict. Again, Eastern Europe, Syria, and now they come back and manufacture a conflict with this cyber issues. You know, it's interesting. I had just today a guy that follows me on Twitter. I follow him. Come back, and he's a white hat hacker. In other words, he's a consultant to people on how to prevent hacking. So they essentially try to find vulnerabilities in systems, and then once they find it, they advise the people who have hired them how to protect against those vulnerabilities. That's called white hat hacking, as opposed to black hat hacking, where people do it surreptitiously for their own personal benefit to do harm to other people. Well, he had a hack back in, he had a tweet back in April. And he said, in this tweet back in April, he said, hack-a-pack chatter on back channels for a month now. There will be a huge dump soon. And he retweeted that today and said, it's not the Russians. Notice that I put this out months before even the DNC hacks came out. We've had William Binney, former technical head of the NSA, saying he doesn't believe it's the Russians. He believes that it's people in the NSA who are concerned about what Hillary Clinton has done to endanger the lives of people with her security breaches. And so there's a lot of people that don't believe that it's the Russians. I don't believe it's the Russians. We don't have any proof, and yet they are escalating this to the point of conflict. This is a very serious situation. We should take this very seriously. We should understand that if we have Hillary Clinton continue this policy of chaos, destruction, and perpetual war for the benefit of her bankers. And these are the people who always benefit from war, folks. A rich man's war, poor man's fight. That's what they said during the Civil War. It's always true. It's how the Rothschilds make their money. And it's how the rest of us die and get poor and see our countries destroyed. Now, they're trying to do this in multiple ways. It's not just the confrontation with Russia, but then, of course, Hillary Clinton, knowing 3 years ago when she talked to a Jewish group, we see now from the email, she said, hey, the situation that's going on in Syria right now, we got all these refugees that are being created. It's a real issue for Jordan because they want to help the refugees. They want to let some of these refugees into their country. And, of course, it's contiguous to Syria. It isn't like we're flying them in like Obama and Hillary Clinton are trying to do now to America, to Europe. But they were flooding over the borders. And she said, how can you tell who are the legitimate refugees and who are jihadis? You can't vet them. Hillary Clinton said that. You can't vet them 3 years ago. But when Donald Trump says it, when Donald Trump says, hey, we've got to stop this flow of refugees and migrants in until we can figure out who these people are, he's a racist. He's a xenophobe. He's an Islamophobe. Okay, he wants to stop all Muslim immigration. No, she said the same thing. And any rational person understands that there is absolutely no way that you can vet these people, that you know who they are. Now, today we've also seen Russia coming out and making a statement about what's going on in Mosul. And of course, Mosul, for Gary Johnson and other people who like him, Mosul is in Iraq. Okay, Aleppo is in Syria. Now, in Mosul, it is a stronghold of ISIS, and we have had a buildup going on with the Iraqi forces and, of course, with American forces as well. They have now, on at least 2 occasions, added another 500 troops to the area and a buildup for Mosul. And this has been going on for a very long time, telegraphing what they're going to do. If they were serious about taking out ISIS in Mosul, they would do it, wouldn't they? They would do it surreptitiously and as quickly as possible. But instead, they telegraph their intentions for a very long time. And then they come out and they say, even though we got this massive troop buildup, we're not really going to use, we don't really have American boots on the ground. Remember Hillary Clinton said that? She said, we're not going to have any more American boots on the ground in Iraq now or ever. And yet it's going on, and there's a buildup that is happening right now for a massive battle, they say. Yet Moscow is saying this is simply a phony show, which it certainly looks like. The U.S. is plotting to allow 9,000 ISIS fighters to escape the terror capital of Mosul, claims Moscow. They claim that the U.S. will let ISIS retreat from Mosul in safety in a secret deal with Saudi Arabia. Now, what have we seen from some of these leaked emails in the last couple of days? We have seen confirmation that Saudi Arabia and Qatar are giving aid to ISIS. They're arming ISIS. And, of course, there are surrogates. The arms flow from us to Saudis, and then the Saudis give it to ISIS. Saudis are our partners throughout the Middle East. The most brutal regime. And, again, in that same meeting 3 years ago where Hillary Clinton was talking about how we couldn't vet the people coming out of Syria, we couldn't distinguish the refugees from the legitimate refugees from the jihadis. At the same time, she said, it's interesting that the most extreme ideology in the Middle East is coming out of Saudi Arabia and has so for the last 30 years. And she was saying that to a group of Jewish people. And yet that is the government that we work the most closely with and have since we created the petrodollar. You have to understand, they essentially back our fiat currency that is generated by the Federal Reserve. Once Nixon and Kissinger took us off the gold standard, we backed it with oil, with Saudi Arabia, with OPEC. Okay, they decided, they agreed that they would denominate oil sales in dollars, that they would take massive T-bills in exchange, that they would support our fiat currency. And so we have been linked at the hip with them ever since, not only economically, but also militarily throughout the region. So when Saudi Arabia is arming ISIS, and we know this from the Hillary Clinton emails, it's not a stretch to say that they are doing a secret deal to let ISIS out to go into Syria, to go into Iran. Because understand that Saudis hate these other Arab states as much as they do Israel. See, they're different. They have Sunnis, Shias, and Wahhabis, different sects of Islam. And they hate each other virulently. And they try to take each other's governments down, okay? You have theocracies throughout the region. Anyway, they say thousands of ISIS fighters are to be given safe passage out of Iraq to fight in Syria, claim Russian military leaders. Nearly 1,000 U.S. and British troops have been sent to retake Mosul, says the British paper, the largest city under ISIS control. The RAF and the U.S. Air Force are on standby to support any ground attacks with major airstrikes. And yet, Hillary says it isn't happening. They can't keep their lies straight. Either we have people there that are fighting or we don't, or we're going to let ISIS out and go to Syria to fight. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I am very proud to announce the introduction of the highest quality InfoWars Biome Defense Probiotic. We wanted to come out with the largest spectrum of high quality known probiotics that have been proven to improve overall digestion and health and detoxification in the body. Biome Defense is an exclusive blend of 50 billion live and active cultures from over 23 different probiotic strains that are known to support digestion and intestinal function. Our researchers are confident that we have been able to develop what will be the leading probiotic on the market. Secure your Biome Defense in